I've known Greg Brown for a number of years and have recorded several pieces of music by him. Um, and one thing I love about Greg's music is that he always finds something in a text or a poem that surprises me. He gives me new insights into things and offers readings of things that otherwise I would never have come to myself. And that's exactly what's happened in his new piece for this program with Major Jackson's poem, How to Listen. When Greg and I settled on this poem together, I knew that we would have drastically different readings of it. And so I was really excited to see what he found in it that I didn't see. Major's poem is fantastic, and we very much wanted to find a poet with a connection to Philadelphia. And not only did we do that, we found a poem by that poet that references a very particular, specific dive bar that is not far from our venue this evening. So I think it's the perfect piece for this program. I also think it ties together the rest of the program really beautifully. There's a direct quote in the music from the last song of Winterreise that inspired Dan and I to perform that song just prior to performing the premiere. So I feel very grateful that we get to present a world premiere on a PCMS program, and I'm doubly gratified that it is a premiere of words by Major Jackson and music by Greg Brown. I met Dan Overly back in 2017 when we were both at Yale. I was getting my master's degree at the time, and he was one of the collaborative piano fellows. And we had passed each other in the hallway a couple of times, sort of vaguely knew who the other was. But he reached out to me because he was preparing an application for a program in Europe that was focusing specifically on the music of Hugo Wolf. And he asked if we could get together and record a few of the Mörike-Lieder as part of his application. And so we got a room at the School of Music, and what sort of started as a friendly favor between two colleagues quickly turned into the realization that we worked really well together, and we did this repertoire really well together, and that we should probably sing more Wolf together. And so thankfully that was the start of one of my most favorite musical friendships, and it's lasted for a number of years now. So when I found out that I was going to be preparing a recital for PCMS, I knew that Dan was the perfect collaborator for it. I love making music with Dan. And I also knew that we had to do a huge chunk of the Wolf Mörike-Lieder because that was the repertoire that began our musical friendship and has sustained us. So I'm really honored to be sharing the stage with Dan, and I'm particularly excited that the audience in Philadelphia will get to meet him for the first time. I couldn't be happier that we are closing our recital with a large swath of the Wolf Mörike-Lieder. And I say a swath because it is a truly gigantic collection of music. We're going to be performing 7 of the 53 songs that exist in the set. And it's a collection of music that you could study your whole life and still discover new and surprising nuance and depth and thoughtfulness in the songs. I love this music. I'm particularly drawn to 2 things about it. The first of which is the harmony. I love Wolf's harmony. I think that he was uniquely gifted at using harmony to create a sense of being in a particular place. One example of that is a song that we're performing, Auf ein altes Bild, which draws its inspiration from a painting of the Virgin Mary and the infant Jesus, and they're sitting on a rock in a forest as a stream goes by, and it's a very tranquil, wooded scene. And the harmony is really adept at making you feel like you're there. You know, there's the trees overhead, it feels cool, and you feel shaded, and it feels very peaceful and tranquil, and water's babbling by. But underneath all of it, there's something that's sort of dark and sort of sinister. And as the poem of the song goes on, eventually it's revealed that that's the whole point. That sinister feeling, that sort of creeping feeling that's in the harmony, ends up being the delivery of the song. And so the other thing I'm really drawn to about the Mörike-Lieder is the intense sort of spirituality that runs throughout the whole thing. Wolf was a deep believer, and he was also a very troubled person. And these songs, I think, capture a sense of that struggle of being someone who is very devout, but still struggles with the sort of inherent flawed nature of being a human. I love these songs. I feel very honored that I get to bring them to this recital, and I'm particularly excited that I get to collaborate on them with Dan Overly. Our friendship started several years ago with the music of Wolf, and so this feels like a wonderful coming home moment for both of us. There are two books on my shelf right now. The first of which is The Splendid and the Vile, which is a book by Eric Larsons that's a deep dive into the Battle of Britain and the bombing of London, particularly through the perspective of Winston Churchill and the sort of many odd and fantastic characters that surrounded him. And it pays particular attention to the time after the fall of France and before the U.S. entered the war, which was the period in which the British found a sort of deep well of resistance and bravery. And given everything happening in the world right now, the book has been particularly resonating with me. But when it gets a little too heavy and a little bit too real, the other thing on my shelf is this book, which is My Life in France by Julia Child, in which she remembers learning to cook and moving to Paris and hating it at first, but slowly coming to love France and its people and its food. And the page that I literally just read was about how the secret to one recipe for French fish was 3/4 of a pound of butter, which is the way I like to cook and the way I like to eat too. So I'm learning plenty from both books. The most surprising thing to ever happen to me during a concert was actually quite embarrassing, and actually happened just before the concert. I was a much younger and more immature version of myself than I am now. Obviously, this would never happen these days, but I was on a concert tour with an orchestra, and we had done maybe 5 or 6 performances of this program up to this point. And so we were really in the rhythm of things, and so it was kind of becoming old hat. It was a habit at this point. And we were going to do a run out. So we were going to take a flight and do a concert and then take a flight right back. And I was like, I got this. I grabbed all my stuff, got on the plane, went down to the other city, got into the dressing room. I was relaxed. And it was maybe 10 minutes before the concert started that I said, all right, time to put on my tuxedo. So I got my tux on and started rooting around my bag and quickly realized that I left my bow tie in the other city. And so I panicked. I grabbed the orchestra manager. It was maybe 8 minutes before we were supposed to be on stage. And I said, I left my bow tie back in the other city. Can you please help me find one right now? I'm so sorry. So we sprinted around backstage, asking all the orchestra members, does anybody have an extra bow tie? Sure enough, nobody didn't. And so with maybe 2 minutes to go on, the manager turns to me and says, well, you can wear mine. He was a very well-dressed gentleman, and so he took off his bow tie and tied it around my neck. Got backstage just to the stage door with about 30 seconds to spare. And the conductor turned to greet me and saw that I was wearing very traditional tuxedo evening wear with tails and a truly giant polka dot pink and purple bow tie that I thought made me look quite spiffy, but I think the conductor maybe thought otherwise. But of course, I was young and dumb, and that would never happen again. And I think I'll remember my tie for the PCMS recital.